Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. We use a lot of MDF. We recently found one that is supposedly water resistant. We're going to test it and find out if it actually is. We'll let you know the results. I use a lot of MDF. It comes in a lot of different thicknesses. It's nice and stable. It's a man-made product, very consistent. It has a few problems, but as far as the good features, it stays nice and flat. So where do I use it in furniture? Well, I'm in the process of making an urn for a friend, and I need a lid is fairly large, and I want it to remain nice and flat. I don't want it to cup. So inside of this veneer is a piece of 1/4-inch MDF that has a solid wood lipping on all 4 sides, and then the piece is sandwiched between 2 pieces of veneer, and that'll stay nice and flat and never have to worry about it. We use it on all of our shooting boards. It's flat, has a good hard-wearing surface, stays put. We do it on all of our table saw jigs, same reason, nice and flat, dimensionally stable, relatively inexpensive. Really good product in the right application. So there always has to be some bad with the good, and the bad on this is the dust. I think it is the absolute worst feature. It's terrible. I highly recommend that you wear a mask anytime you cut it, and a really good form-fitting mask that provides a proper seal and filtration. The other problem is moisture. If this gets near anything damp, even in a damp environment, not just direct moisture, it's going to suck it up like a sponge, and it essentially turns to wet sawdust. So a massive failure under those circumstances. So we have found water resistant MDF. There's actually 2 different brands, and there's regular MDF. Price is about 20% more. Weight, surprisingly, brand number 1 on that block comes in at 143 grams. Brand number 2 comes in at 130 grams, and the regular MDF comes in at 134, so actually a little bit heavier, but none of it's enough to really make that much of a difference. Interestingly enough, their stats say that the water resistant is twice as strong as regular MDF, which would be a huge bonus. Surface quality. Well, they all feel about the same. So there's not much of a difference at all, except for the 20% increase in price, but for something that's we're not going to have a problem with water, I would say that's a pretty good trade-off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 pieces. Actually, this is the regular MDF. This is the MDF water resistant, and this is MDF water resistant. So we'll just put the 3 of them.
The weight
for 24 hours. We'll just immerse them like that. We'll see how much it deforms, how much weight it gains, and go from there, give you our results. Okay, these 3 samples have been sitting in here in this water. I just accidentally tipped that one over for a day. I want to add to this. I want to measure to see how much it's deformed, how much it's expanded. And then I want to give it a chance, a couple of days to dry out and see which, if any of them, go back to being the normal size. So since I just knocked this one over, just dry off any of the water sitting on the surface and weigh this. So 138. And it was 130. That's not a lot. So 138. Now I want to see how much it expanded. So down here on this end, it is 8,000 over 1 inch. And on the opposite end, it has swollen to 56 thou. Check that in a few places and see. 50 thou, 48, 56, So let's say on average it's about 50 thou. So I'll do that one more time. So 8. So it gained 48 thou. We'll set that one out to dry. And we'll do the regular MDF. I wanted to put them in just part way just so you could compare a dry end to a wet end. $154. And that went from right at 1. I only gained about 42. See how that responds. And this was also the water resistant, just a different brand. $149. So that gained the least. So that's 10 thou over. Wow. That gained 75 thou. That's, again, if we average it out, 82, about 82, so 72 thou. Okay, we'll give these a few days to dry and come back and check it again. Okay, quick update on the MDF. I made a mistake. On the regular MDF, that grew. It should have been 0.1, or 1, instead of measuring an inch, it should have been 1 inch, 142 thou. So that was considerably more. But here, just look at the visuals on it. So there's the regular MDF. And it's been about 24 hours since we started drying it. You can see how it's cracked all the way up into here. It definitely has not gone back into shape and essentially coming apart. Now here are the two different brands. There's no checking. We'll check it with the micrometer to see how close it is to being back into shape. This one still has some to go. I can still feel a bit of a ridge there, but solid in terms of there's no splitting. Well, let's do the weight first, see if it's anywhere near close to being back to the dry weight. So dry weight on this was, which one, 134 or 154? Oh, 154 was what it was the other day. So that's 141. This one was 138. It's down to 132, so that's really close to being back to what it was. And this one was at 149. It's down to 146, so that's really close as well. Now let's check the thicknesses. We'll look at the regular MDF first. So it was just 1 inch and 4 thou, and it is 1 inch and 140 thou. So that's not going back, and that's, I would consider that to be destroyed. Now this MDF that started out at 1 inch and maybe 8 or 9 thou, and it's now back to 1 inch and 22 thou. So still has a little bit to go. And this one was at 13 thou over an inch, and it is still quite a bit. It's at 150, so it's almost 40 thou still over. So we'll give it another day to dry out and see what happens. So far, this looks pretty good. Hey, if you like this video, we have more. Our newsletter has subscriber-only content, monthly discount on tools, And anything we bring out that's new, subscribers get first crack at it. Click on the link below. Let's get back to work. Well, we let this go a little bit longer than we anticipated, so it's been an actual month, which is probably for the best. First, I'm going to do a visual inspection. I'll start with the worst one. So there's the regular MDF, and you can see that there are cracks on 3 sides. None came through on the top, which didn't get wet, but that would be considered no longer usable. There's definitely a ridge right there, so we'll measure it and see. The 2 different brands of the water resistant. There's a little bit of a wet line, not a wet line, but a mark right there. But other than that, it's structurally sound. There's no visible cracks anywhere. And the stain may just be there because of the color. And then this is the other brand. And there are no cracks anywhere. There really isn't any water staining either. Let's check them for thickness. Make sure that's zeroed in. I'm going to go on all 4 sides. So that's 1/4 thou over an inch. That's 1/6 thou over an inch. That's 1/7 thou over an inch. And that's 1/7 thou over an inch. So I'd say that's pretty much back to normal. Now let's weigh it. So the lightest it was 130. And that's 129. So the inaccuracy within everything is going to account for more than that. So that's back to normal. Okay, measurements. That is 10 thou over 1 inch. Ooh, that's 31 thou over 1 inch. That's 30 thou over 1 inch. That's 28 thou over 1 inch. Check the weight on this one. .143, so that's right back to where it was. Except for the fact that I'm surprised that it didn't go back to its original thickness. Now the regular MDF. That's thou under 1 inch. I'm going to check it right there in the middle. That is 30 thou over 1 inch. That is 63 thou over 1 inch. And that's 23 thou over 1 inch. And weight, 134, so that's back to the original weight, 134. But because of the checks, because of the expansion, not really usable. Not usable once it's been wet. This one was kind of a shock. I expected it to come back to the original size. This darker brand is the one that came out on top. So, there you go. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I don't think there's much difference in price, but definitely if it ever is going, you don't want it to get wet, but if it does, use this one and it's going to survive. Hope this helps. If you like my work and enjoy my style of teaching, click on any one of these videos and help take your woodworking to the next level. I've always said, better tools make the job so much easier. If you click on the link below, the chisel and plane icon, it'll take you to our site and introduce you to all the tools that we actually manufacture right here in our shop. It'll also give you information on our online and in-person workshops.